Pronto. Eles estão online. Deixa eu passar.
O que necessito saber se la persona dueña desta casa se lo puede rentar para nosotros. Por 6 meses. Y después el compromiso de compra. Que pena. Será que tem outra casa?
Eita!
Eu tive 2 horas para fazer.
Eu ainda mandei mensagem pro
Surpresa
Luiz.
boa, acho que você é sua defesa.
Eu ainda mandei pro Luiz, se precisa de alguma ajuda pra fazer alguma comida, não sei o que. Eu
Quer
falei,
comer? Pode.
o Conrad, quando ele fez, foi bom, né? Eu falei, bom, não sei se ele não vai fazer outra coisa. Não parecia que a pessoa.
Isso é bom, até tira daí.
Pegar essa parte aqui que deu no cheiro daqui que tá bonitinho.
Vou fazer a mesma coisa.
Não, beleza.
Não,
Eu comi pouco tempo. Tem cafezinho aí, ó. Café brasileiro.
Eu coloquei o café.
mais tarde eu vou pegar um desse
O
bolo.
Daniel descobriu que eu tomo pouco café.
Chocolate.
Você vai encher esse galão todo de água. Eu uso para fazer café, para fazer café.
O café tá sem açúcar, mas tem
Nossa,
adoçante.
que bonito.
Isso,
Menino, né? Realmente menino, né?
Caramba.
Todos
Tem um
vocês.
negócio desse aí, viu?
Todos vocês eu vou fazer. Para todos. Mas tem que me avisar com um pouquinho de antecedência. Não 2 horas antes, como o Luiz fez.
A minha visão que ele fez era hoje há pouco. Eu nem sabia que ele fez era hoje.
Pois é.
Acho que eu tinha comentado comigo, mas eu esqueci, eu encontrei tudo. Ah, é verdade, eu fiz os 2 agora.
Sabe, vai só ver porque eu encontrei no corpo.
Exatamente.
Eu vou sair um pouco mais cedo hoje, às 4 horas. E aí, Pedro, tá falando em ti. Vai falando coisa boa.
Ele me traz do almoço.
Como é que tá?
Tudo bom? Tudo jóia.
Bem?
Comida.
A alegria quando olharam abrir a porta.
Tem alguma distinção aqui? Vai ser a banca? Ou tem alguma distinção?
Eu não sei.
Só estou.
É que mudaram, estava preparada as mesas tudo de outro jeito. E alguém mudou.
Ele já tá tudo retinho.
Uhum.
Aqui
Talvez a
parece
bancada vai sentar nele.
Parece, provavelmente, porque tá.
Tá engraçado. Parece que aquele casal, tipo, de casal da vida dele. Parece ser intervenção.
Tem que fazer uma mesa assim, fazer umas intervenções.
Os livros são muito bons.
Quer pegar uns
Mas acho que esse
cafezinhos,
não
Pedro?
Não vai ficar.
Você nem
Cabe
sabe
de almoçar.
É.
Não, geralmente uma, as 2.
Eu posso ser que
Eu não sei o que está acontecendo comigo. Eu estou cortando meus dedos e tudo.
Você
Cortei aqui, cortei aqui, cortei aqui. É bolo de chocolate. Também. Então, parceiro.
Eu tô tudo
Comprando um pacote de queijo.
Não,
Aham.
tu consegue cada façanha, cara.
Isso aqui foi muito
Eu abri caixa forte.
Eu
Cara,
enfiei
eu
a
vou
faca
fazer uma
dentro
lista
da
também.
unha.
Nossa.
A Larissa direto. Ela corta com papel, com folha de ofício, com.
Se bobear, eu vou botar os caras.
Aqui também.
Isso pode ser para ele ressecar. É o
É.
contrário.
Não, também. Isso acontece comigo.
Nunca me aconteceu.
Eu sempre
Cortar
mando
tanto
eu
dedo, cortei aqui, cortei aqui.
Hoje que vai ficar banco ou outra que você não?
Pode ser. Hoje é um bagulho
Mas
legal.
vai acontecer isso aí, né? Voltei.
No pior dos casos.
Você caiu, você volta, você plantei.
Arrasa, Muso.
Eu já sou preocupado com a
Começa.
Qual é, rapaziada?
Vai ser muito complicado também.
Vai lá na bancada, gente, lá no bolso, que eu vou tirar foto.
Quer que eu tire pra ti, né?
O meu celular é melhor?
É um iPhone.
É, o meu
Chique,
é
bem.
Samsung.
Chique, velho.
Ah, mas isso
Cara,
é bom.
tu não botou teu nome inteiro.
Achei que eu
cara.
queria tirar foto com ele.
A bandeira do Brasil aqui.
Sério, sério.
Sério.
Tá parecendo bem automático aí, ó.
Sem sorrisinho.
Tem sorrisinho, pô.
Não dá.
Papo. Sei lá, com ele. Vou. Vai lá.
Depois eu não sei quando que eu vou pegar um
Antes de ser
gato
doutor.
Antes de ser doutor, depois de ser doutor.
Vai dar tudo certo.
Galerinha vai ficar orgulhosa.
É que tem um aplicativo para isso. É que usa esse negócio.
Não posso finalizar aí.
Cadê o piloto? Cadê?
Depois que ele terminar, eu tudo, eu não vou poder ficar aqui, porque eu vou buscar sua mãe. Tá? Vocês ajudam ele a montar o carro dele aqui na frente.
E, cara, quando é que tu vai pra França?
Tem um monte de
Cara, em junho.
Preferivelmente com.
Rapaziada, vocês estão vendo aí a apresentação? Dá um joinha aí.
Uma fábrica de, acho que era papel, alguma coisa assim, depois dos Estados Unidos, em outro lugar. O cara foi descer. O cara foi descer do caminhão, aí quando um fez tipo, botou o pé no chão.
Valeu.
E o outro botou
Daqui a pouco tá começando.
botou o pé. Aí
Beijo.
botou por causa desse estava muito alto, uma faísca e explodiu, assim. Bizarro, assim, lá pra mim. Dando lá, acredito que ninguém se machucou, foi só aquele fogo, assim.
Aqui deve ter uma explosão com poeira também.
Caralho, velho, eu nunca tinha visto isso. Daniel de estático.
Pega de posto de gasolina? Ou gasolina condensada?
Caralho. Por isso que eles falam, a galera fala, desliga o carro e não mexa no celular, não fume.
Não, sai pra não fumar do lado da posto é fora, né?
Assim, aí
Tá
quando
fechando
chega...
a água, quando fechar a porta, eu tô um choque. Tudo, cara.
É, não tô
Não, aqui eu também.
Eu tô acostumado.
O meu cachorro, ele dá muito choque. Não, falando sério, ele... Se tu erguer a coberta, assim, se ele tá entrando, ele sai cheio de faísca, assim. Se tiver mais, jogar o negócio ali com gás ali, explode tudo.
Aqui no meu caso, eu tô namorada, cara, com uma choque.
Quando ele é pouco interativo,
Dá um beijinho, eu tomo um choque. Pô, mano.
eu bonito, foto.
Manda lá pra
Ai,
trás.
tem que jogar.
Mandei uma foto.
Não colocou seu nome inteiro, cara. Tinha que fazer com
Rapaz, são, né?
geralmente tinha.
Luiz,
Nossa, a
sim.
mulher chegou a cansar com o.
Vocês vão ver a surpresa na minha graduação, né? Você
É?
pode botar como é que você quer que chama lá, né?
Você fala, Luizinho, puta.
Carlos.
Você botou o apelido, pô.
Não deixa eu achar, né?
Sério, botou Luiz com S?
É, você botou a pronúncia fonética.
Não,
Nossa,
vejo
vamos
não.
botar Luiz Carlos.
Luiz Carlos. Deixa eu ver se eu acho aqui.
Decidi pintar meus cabelos hoje.
É.
Porque estão me dando desconto para pessoas de 65 anos lá na
Ah,
loja.
pronto.
Nossa, dois colorinhos meus.
Quanto é que é desconto?
É 20% de desconto.
Pô, é 20?
Porra, né?
Cara, eu mesmo, cara, tá fora.
Lá
Agora,
na borda.
Ah, o Luiz não tá pior, não, mas também tinha uns.
eu tenho barba branca.
Ó, que
cara.
dá pra ver
Tem
também.
mancha
Não
preta.
adianta, cara.
Cara,
Depois
muito,
que
na cabeça tem
acontece.
muito pouco. Tem muito pouco na cabeça. Tem muito nome. Tem algumas aqui, tem muito.
Cara, eu acho lá
Ah, é?
que isso. É como se tem barba branca, cabelo nariz branco, é tudo branco, velho.
É.
Então, mas o meu na hora.
É.
um pelo nariz branco, ele fudeu.
Pô, 20% do você morreu, cara. Show.
20%. Todas as pessoas.
Chega lá, é gol. É gol.
Não me lembro qual é o relógio que eu estava com o Armando, também não perguntaram.
Oi,
Já
mas
fez 65 anos. Foi, eu estava acabada assim, nossa.
Não, mas aí os caras estão. Uma mulher, sei lá.
Lá em Santa Maria, eu fui a fila do cartório, porque a mulher disse que pessoa de idade não precisa esperar.
Ai.
A minha irmã, ela tinha uma raiva quando ela saía comigo e chamava ela de minha mãe. E ela, tipo, tudo bem, se ela tivesse metido com 15 anos, ela poderia ser minha mãe. Mas, tipo, ela ficava puta, ela odiava sair comigo e, tipo, não é sua filha, não sei
Não,
o quê.
complicado é quando eu acho que eu sou irmão da minha mãe. Porra,
Tem duas
tem uma
opções.
ou uma mãe é muito nova.
Exato.
Para não 50 e.
Essa não pode
Esse
parecer.
chupão aqui.
É hora da família, né?
Casa de família, defesa de família.
Brazilian Coffee, sir. Brazilian Coffee.
Keep me waiting for 2 days.
Do sim? Ou
Anywhere. She said over here and be a little closer to it.
I'm gonna get in spitting range.
I hope you enjoy, sir.
Nice suit on you. Okay, coffee. So you drink it out of the steaming cups?
No, you can bring it wherever you want.
If you can handle the big cups.
They will have a sweet.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that.
I'll take care of that.
I should have gotten Melina so she could have it. She complains about it. She calls our coffee tea.
Tea. I have a pun that's a tea face. And it's a free coffee.
Oh,
It's a tea face.
tea fat.
Hey, Cliff, how you doing? Hey, Luis. Hey, Ted, how you doing? Good to see you. Looks like positive news I saw.
Yeah, he said we would support it.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, it's kind of what I said, so we're just going forward.
Better to go forward and then, of course, here it is. It's a cost. What's the worst they can do? Say yes?
Falou, já deu uma latinha ali de 100.
Well, they better.
That's awesome. Tudo bem, cara? Pronto? Você nasceu pronto. Yeah, so anyway, all the students come visit. Hopefully we'll fill up the-
Okay. We got big enough room for it.
Huh?
We got big enough room for it.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
check things out. Yeah,
They need to know like that.
I think, you guys could go to visit, that'd be a great thing because that will be doing speaking more.
Having Melina put together these YouTubes to help attract students. That's what she's looking to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Should help.
Yeah, I have graduate students, so I'm kind of doing that. Industrial engineering. Yeah, that's a great thing. I already got 2 prospects out of those for petroleum engineering, and I just started looking at it. Yeah.
It sounds like our guy from Columbia is gonna get picked up, but I noticed we got, what's her name?
Oh,
Carolina.
Carolina, yeah, she already accepted. Yeah, it's a great. She's gonna be great. We'd love to
Still
get
trying to get the other one to support.
and raise some money.
Right.
Yeah,
We're
he's,
waiting on the funding announcement.
okay. Yeah, he's a good one.
So on that one, we're gonna have one issue. And that is we have to provide them with a scholarship. And the reason for it was TxDOT funding does not allow us to pay for fees and tuition of students. So what we do with contracts is we put in their salary, instead of their salary at $29,000, we put it in at $43,000.
Right, that's the same as Carolina.
Right. But the only way they can get it for that is if we give them a scholarship. And so,
Oh, right, because they need the Texas tuition.
correct.
Yeah,
Use
yeah.
that tuition to get all that. And I have enough to support Carolina, but I don't know if I'm gonna have enough.
You want me to write you a check?
Well, I've asked Jackson to come up with another campus, some funds in for that. kind of thing.
They'll need 1,000.
I know it is. But, I'm just making you aware of the type of spot that I'm in.
Okay. Well, if there's any.
Estamos todos muito felizes.
Just understand that I may come knocking on the door for this.
You may do it.
I may come knocking on your door, just in case.
You know, I'm kind of like, let's do it because I get great students here.
Oh, I know. I know. I agree. I agree. And I'm sure I can give you the other good people.
I remember you.
Yes. Out of their indirect costs.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is Jackson will have an account that he has, and then when he pay back, he'll use their money. So that's what we're.
I think it's all worth it. That's a small amount. Well, I better sit down because I think it's about.
We're getting close.
Boa sorte. Mas eu acho que você já está mais preparado do que não. Oi? Tudo bem? Olá, que tal? Tudo bem? E aqui não mais. Olá. Você é aquela comida já. Good. Tudo bem?
It's turning everything upside down.
Falta de oxigênio. He's not here. You got something to eat because.
Party.
The whole gang is around. I know there's no time, so maybe some people will come in later.
The instruments coming for the
Hopefully. I have one in here, so just in case.
Também os bons de vez em quando, mas
Go. Look there. Look at the presentation.
você está aqui, pode ficar.
Você tá. Cadê os instrumentos?
We're waiting for Mario. Reminded him so yesterday.
Friday.
You want to color it?
Show him. Yeah. Little.
It's not as bad as.
Yeah, the show is-
Yeah, well.
It's not as bad as birds and Mr. Clark.
Yeah, just like
Wonder why those two things are,
No, it's not Dr. Cleveland.
I'm about ready to turn those two things off.
Yeah.
So, screw that.
Keep that in.
This is what I think.
What?
Not your reports.
Oh, very good. Oh, yeah. Carson. Oh.
Not a heart, different part of the body.
Oh, my God.
Only half of it.
We're still waiting for our.
É o que eu tô pensando?
So, Ted, you want to shoot an idea?
I'm waiting for
Okay.
Okay,
Where do I?
anyway.
Somewhere.
There's Ryan sitting, so.
That's where you're sitting?
There's Ryan sitting.
All right, I will sit right over here. Wait a minute, they may be throwing things at you.
In case you want to be back over there. So it looks like we're ready to start.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
Really?
We'll talk after.
Yeah, this thing.
Okay, yeah, it's back.
I turned that one off, so it would stop doing that. Maybe you just have to keep yours working or touching it.
I just keep scrolling the slides.
Um, Okay, so we're here today for the final exam for Luis Silva Jr. He's got about 3 other names to go with it. I always get confused as to what I'm supposed to call him, but I just go by Luis. So the interesting story is I started my career with a student whose name was Luis, who was from Brazil. He was one of my first doctoral students. And so I now have Luis too from Brazil, ending my career. So that's almost going to be the same. But not quite, because they still have one more. I did say
We can change her name to Luis.
Huh?
We can change her name to
We
Luis.
can change it.
Lisa?
We'll at least give it something valuable. Okay, so the way we're going to do this today is we're going to allow Luis to give his presentation, take about 20, 30 minutes, and then give you time to ask questions. Don't be good about it, and ask away. And then once we finish the public component of the defense, then we'll ask the audience to be excused, and you're welcome to some goodies that has been put together for you as well, thanks to Angelina at the request. And then,
Thanks, Mom.
then we will close the room for just the committee to continue with the evaluation. Okay? So any questions or concerns at this point in time from anyone? All right, with that, Luis, it is all yours.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm very happy to have you all here. Today, we're going to talk about ponds and some modeling. This big title, which comprises a little bit of everything that I've done so far. But I'm going to start with the research questions that I had, or the research questions that I try to answer throughout my PhD. The very first one is, what is the current state of art of ponds research? I'm going to go in, for those of you who are not familiar with, what is a pond and what's the role in wastewater treatment, how to model them, what's the most appropriate design, and of course, how can we make it more sustainable? But even before talking about the ponds themselves, I'm going to talk about the importance of wastewater. This is a picture that I took. It's probably an hour away from Rio. Beautiful, nice little town with a beach. The problem is, if you look at the full picture, you see the problem. Raw wastewater being discharged into the environment. And this is just another picture that I took that's maybe 10 minutes north of Rio as well. So even though it's a huge city, very touristic, it's got a lot of potential, yet we struggle with lack of infrastructure. And that's the importance of why we need to treat the wastewater. This one. So now that we know that's important, let's talk a little bit about the solutions that we currently have. First one, we're talking about highly mechanized solutions, such as activated sludges and membranes. They're highly efficient, but they are very cost intensive, and hopefully it's going to come back soon. I was here for an hour, and that didn't happen. Okay. On the other hand, we have what we call the nature-based solutions, which are, again, based on nature. We don't need to provide options, so we can talk about waste stabilization ponds and wetlands. One of the big advantages is they have much less labor and of course the cost is much more effective. The other issue that we have, especially in the US, is the population distribution. Most of the population, 84% of the cities, they actually have a population under 10,000 inhabitants. So we're talking about a lot of small towns distributed around the US. So does it make sense that we spend a lot of money in those highly efficient wastewater treatment solutions when we can go for nature-based solutions? I don't think so. That's why ponds, they work greatly for small communities because there's an easy operation. We can virtually have zero energy expenditure. There's little maintenance. They're sustainable. This is an example of the three main types of ponds. We have the anaerobic pond, which is mostly for sedimentation. And then we have the second one, which is the facultative, which relies on the oxidation from the wind to promote organic matter oxidation. And lastly, we have what we call the maturation polishing ponds that are mostly focused on the disinfection process. And again, all nature-based. We don't have to put any pumps, any chemicals. It's all going to be done by Mother Nature. So the first question that I'm trying to answer is, what's the current state of art? Because ponds are really old, a really old technology, but yet we don't know how it's currently working. So the bibliometric analysis helped us to understand a little bit more about how it's operating. There's a lot of different lines of thoughts in terms of how should we design ponds, how do they operate. So given this holistic overview, it was important to understand a little bit more and structure the scientific field. And the bibliometric analysis is really good for that. Goal was to identify the main research areas and the contributions, advancements, and forecast future trends. The way we did it is, given the Scopus database, we searched for a specific term for the title, abstract, and keywords. And then through that database, we went through some R packages, some data analysis, data cleaning, to go through what is it that we can extract from all that metadata. So by Shiny, Bibliometrics, and Vosvir were the softwares used. And last, we analyzed the publications, keywords, countries, and the trends in the research topics. One of the first results we have is how has the research specifically in waste stabilization ponds have been evolving over the years. We can clearly see a trend of growing publications, and especially over the last 10 years, a little bit more, we have 50% of the publications. Most of them, of course, are journal publications. And a huge chunk of them are conference papers. This is a keyword analysis. It's a really interesting map to understand the most used keywords. So the size of the bubble is going to represent the number of times that this keyword was found in this database. The connections are going to be when they're correlated, and most importantly, the colors. The colors are going to tell us the clusters or how closely together those keywords are. And from those clustering, that cluster was able to analyze come up with modeling. So we're talking about coefficient, equation, simulation, CFD, some of the keywords that came out of this cluster. And then we have contaminants monitoring, microbial aspects, energy and emissions, and lastly, industrial and heavy metals removal. So those are the main topics, or the main clusters of topics that have been researched in ponds. And the second analysis, it's a multi-component analysis that it's really interesting because we can clearly see this axis in which we have most of the commonly known technology in ponds. We see phosphorus removal, pond systems, oxygen, stabilization ponds, performance, algal points. But then, very close to this edge, you see these integrated wastewater ponds, advanced integrated ponds. And what's that talking about is a very specific kind of pond, which is what we call currently the ponding pond. A conventional pond would look, a conventional pond system would look like this, an anaerobic pond followed by a facultative pond. But then this technology just pushes this anaerobic pond inside the facultative pond, and then we have this what we call pond in pond or integrated advanced facultative pond. So that was a really interesting result because this pond seems to be performing much better overall, at least based on the analysis and monitoring that we have data for. Now, moving on to the countries analysis, we can see some of the countries that lead in terms of pond research. Of course, we have the US with the most number of publications, followed by India, and then we have China, Brazil tied up, and of course, Australia, which is a big hub for waste ponds. Some of the trends analyzed this, we can see clearly words like CFD and simulations and efficiency modeling coming up as new words. Of course, we have constricted wetland, which is a very common post-treatment unit. Then we have pharmaceuticals, risk assessment, biofuel production. But most importantly, we have this lesson out, the second analysis I have for the keywords, showing up that the pond in pond, or with all the different names, being a very novel pond, very interesting topic to research about. So now we want to know about the modeling perspective. How can we model those ponds? We have some different types of models that we can use to model them. And we're going to talk about CFD, which is computational fluid dynamics, compartments model, and the dispersed flow model. And in this, to answer this question, the goal is to analyze how can we approach the CFD model, which is currently the most up-to-date or more complex or more refined method. And then we have, again, the compartments model and the dispersed fluid flow model. And we're going to compare them to see which one performs best. Going back to the design of the ponds, we have those two, and currently we're going to analyze just the pit. So at this moment, we're only going to focus on the pit because that seems to be the most important piece of the research, or the most important aspect of this technology relies on the anaerobic pit. Oh. Let me just plug in the battery.